So for today, I actually want to show you guys how to build your eyes in the proper way. And on top of that, I'm also going to go over stamps, kind of like an updated version of the previous video that I had in regards to stamps. I know that Aizen will probably bring in new people into the game just because a lot of people tend to like Aizen. If there is new players in the game, they probably want to understand how stamps work in the game, and I'll try to do my best to actually explain that to you guys. Now, if you're someone who has played different gacha games when it comes to stamps, they're basically the equivalent of gear to the game. So any gears or relics, that's what they basically are. Now, I played other gacha games where you have to kind of farm like 4 pieces or even 6 pieces into a character. This one's a little bit easier because there's only 3 pieces. Well, it's easier to farm, but it's more annoying to actually get the correct substats that you want. But then again, that's RNG, so that's something that at the end of the day just kind of sucks overall. But let's go ahead and see where we're able to farm this. So if you go to the trial and you go to realm mutation, here you will have different options what to farm, right? Now, if you're someone who genuinely doesn't know what type of stamp to farm, what you want to do is, let's say whatever character and you're going for Aizen, click on this little thing at the bottom left next to the thumbs up, and it's going to give you a very easy understanding guide about the character. It's going to tell you what to level up on the character for the skill. It's going to tell you their basic and advanced or premium team, to be honest. And then weapon choices at the bottom and a core stamp, and also what kind of substat or stats you want to be getting on those stamps. So for Aizen, because he's kind of like a damage support character, you want to do a crit rate, crit damage, and attack. Now that we know this is the piece that we want to be farming for him, you're going to go back to this, the realm of mutation, and you're going to click on the one for Aizen. So right now he doesn't have like a different one, I guess, which just makes me think that they're going to release one maybe for Ichimaru, and then they're going to put Ichimaru's and Aizen in one so that you're able to farm them. But if you're someone who is new to the game or just haven't played a lot, make sure you're not using a lot of your resources when it comes to stamina for farming 4-star stamps. The more you play, eventually you will reach the 5 stars where you can get the 5-star stamps, and you'll also get some shards that you can kind of use to actually get more 5-star stamps. So only tip I have for that is just make sure that if you have stamina saved up for some of the pills, I guess you could say, use them only until you're able to farm the 5 stars, because that's where you'll get the most benefit out of them. So that is one thing. Now, there's one thing that I definitely want to talk about real quick when it comes to stats of the game. So I'm going to use my Toshiro in example. So when you look at the stats, right, you're going to see that it says my character only has 31.8 crit rate and 183 crit damage. That is one of the things that I don't understand about this game, why they actually don't add all of the stats that you have for your character. So an example, right? Let's say that I don't have nothing equipped on the character's just, pure out. As soon as you equip your weapon, you see how mine says it has 45% crit rate to my character, but the game doesn't actually add that into your stats right here. So I kind of have to use a calculator or just my brain, honestly, for basic math, that I would be like, okay, well, my weapon is giving me 45% crit rate because I have 3 copies of the weapon, so that's 45 crit rate right away. I do have his second copy. Second copy is going to give me 40% crit rate every time I counter or release a technique, right? So that's already 40%. So I have about 85% crit rate right away. And if I go to my stamps right here, obviously they're going to have some crit damage and crit rate with them. And one thing you can do is if you click on the details at the bottom right side, right here is going to tell you everything that you're getting based off your stamps. So as you can see right here, it says 26.8 crit rate. You're getting about 133.10 for crit damage and so on. It's also going to tell you the buffs that you're getting from the unique stamps, but I'll talk about that a little bit later on. So in reality, my Toshiro has over 100% crit rate, so I'm going to be critting every time with him, or pretty consistently, I mean. So do keep that in mind. But now let's go ahead and talk about the stamps and how you should be using them in your character. Well, I'm going to go ahead and show you the stamps that I have for my Aizen, and he is pretty strong and doing pretty good damage. Now keep in mind that 2 of my stamps are not the greatest, but this is what I have for right now. So I will go ahead and explain the best way that I can, so make sure to listen. If you have any questions, you are more than welcome to ask in the comments and I will answer. So there is 3 pieces, right? So this is going to be immeasurable gap 1, number 2, and number 3. So I'm going to refer to them by numbers so that it is easier to explain. So stamp number 1 will always have attack as a basic stat on the top. The second one's going to have defense. Third one's going to have HP. Now for the second one, they all have the option to actually have HP, defense, and attack, if I'm correct, as the secondary basic stat. Now for number 1, the unique ones that it can have is going to be damage, extra damage to the different typings of the game. So spirit damage, thrust damage, slash damage, and also strike damage. Normally you want to go for attack, but also having whatever type of the character is still pretty good for damage. Now the second thing real quick is I want to talk about is advanced stats. If it's a DPS character, you definitely want to prioritize having crit rate first, crit damage, and then attack. Reason why crit rate is going to be the first one is because it's a little bit harder to get to the threshold of 100 to get those consistent crit rates and do pretty consistent damage with your characters. But also keep in mind that as of right now, the past 3 characters have had crit rate in their weapons when you summon for them. So that is one thing to keep in mind. Now for the second piece is going to be one of the most important ones, just because you're able to get crit rate and crit damage on this piece. This is going to be completely up to you what you want to go for, but usually crit rate, like I said, is a little bit harder to hit compared to crit damage. As long as your substats are giving you a good amount crit damage or crit rate, then from there you can decide which one's going to be the best piece. And what do I mean by that? Let's say that the first stamp and the third stamp, you got lucky and everything reroll into crit rate. Then you could be like, okay, well, you know what? My second piece has crit damage as a second basic stat, and it still has some attack and crit rate and crit damage. So therefore, I'm going to, go for the crit damage. Now for the third piece, it's going to be just about the same thing. This one just has the ability to have ultimate charge rate, which is pretty good for some support characters because they do kind of require that. So they're able to use their ultimates. But you kind of want to go with attack for Aizen, and that's what I have as well. Now this piece is probably a really insane piece that I got. It's giving me the attack, crit damage, and crit rate that I need. The ultimate charge rate as a substat is still pretty good on the character, so that way you're able to use your ultimate more frequently. But this is what a stamp looks like, what you normally want to go for. Now for the final thing in stamps that I want to talk about is getting your stamps from level 25 to level 30. So I will use this one. Just imagine that this is an Aizen one, but let's say that it has the good stats that I want: crit damage, crit rate, attack, and ultimate charge rate. We're like, okay, I'll go ahead and enhance this. And if you try to enhance here, it's going to tell you that your start upgrade needs to be unlocked first before you're able to do that. So you go down and you see that you will need 10 of these stars to actually get you to level 30. Now, make sure that if you are planning on actually getting a stamp to level 30, that you're 100% sure that it's a really good stamp with really good substats, because this material is really hard to come by. The event right now is actually giving you some depending on where you end up in the leaderboard, so that's really important. But once you get it to level 30, it's actually going to give you kind of like a buff on each stamp. So I'll show you guys right here. So for my first one, once I got it to level 30, it gave me increased technique damage by 30%, which is pretty good. Now, there are many different ones that you can actually get, but I think this is probably one of the best ones that you can reroll into. Now, they do give you an option to reroll. However, it is probably one of the most horrendous things I've ever seen, because if you want to reroll, you actually need to use another level 30 stamp just to be able to reroll, and it's RNG. That's the thing that sucks about it. I really hope that in the future they actually give us maybe like a type of game mode or even items that we're able to farm so we can reroll this, because using another stamp, that's just, it's really dumb. It just doesn't make any sense. But yes, that's how stamps kind of work. Like I said, at the end of the day, you just want to be pushing for crit rate first to get that 100, and then crit damage and attack are going to be your priorities to make your characters do a lot of damage. And that is what I do with Aizen. But now I'm just going to go ahead and show you how good he does. Now, do keep in mind that he is B6, so he's fully maxed out. But even then, your Aizen will still be able to do really good damage if you have the correct substats and what I spoke of. Like I said, if you have any further questions that you still don't understand, make sure to ask and I'll be there to answer. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video, and take care.
それだけのことそれで終わりだよそれだけのこと来航まあさよならたやすいまあいい波動の90黒羊それだけのことだたやすい来航まあいい波動の90黒羊それで終わりやれされたやすい波動の90